The rain is coming, and it's going to be good. Yesterday I told you about the golf course that I worked at during a couple of summers of my college days. I shared with you a story of one day that was just one of those days. Everything was going wrong. Well, let me tell you about another day, a day totally different. Now, when I worked there, as you can imagine, during the summer months on a golf course, there's always grass to be cut. And this was a pristine course. I mean, this is where millionaires golfed. And so we groomed the course every day. The greens were mowed every day. So I was working 7 days a week, usually 10 to 12 hours a day. And I was home for the summer. I had been at college. I was training to be a preacher. Now, I had been working for about a month without going to church. 7 days a week nonstop. 28 days at least I had been working without a day off. And on this day, it was a Sunday morning, I was driving to work, and I just felt the terrible need, a drought in my soul, a need to be to church that day. And so I went into the boss and asked, after I mow my greens, can I leave? Now, there was only one way that I could leave early. There's only one thing on a golf course that usually halts work and ends the assignments of cutting grass for the day, and that is rain. So when I asked the boss if I could have the day off after I mowed my greens, which usually took about 2.5 to 3 hours first thing in the morning, we would work from about 6 in the morning till usually 6 in the evening. My boss made a deal with me. He said, I'll let you go if it rains. Now, it was blue sky. Sun was coming up. It was going to be a gorgeous day. But I got my mower, and I went out to my first green. I had 5 of them that I had to mow that morning. And I remember looking at my watch and thinking and praying to God as I sat there, God, I need to go to church. And so the boss will let me go if it rains. And so I looked at my watch, and I made a deal with God. I said, you have 2.5 hours. God, bring a storm. And so I started mowing. Sun's coming up. Sky is clear. Again, going to be a beautiful day. I get to my last green. As I start, it's going to take me about half an hour. As I look to the west, I see one single dark tower of clouds on the horizon. And I just smiled. And I started mowing, and I got done. And as I walked over to the cleaning bay where we would wash off our mowers before we put them off, it began to rain. I looked up, and the sky was no longer blue. It was starting to get overcast. There was a storm had arrived. And by the time I got done cleaning my mower, it only took about 5-10 minutes. It was pouring. And I walked in soaking wet to my boss with a smile on my face and said, can I go? And he looked out the window with amazement and said, yes, you can. And I was able to go to church that morning, drenched in my work clothes, but I don't think they minded. I went to church. And I satisfied that drought that had been growing in my soul. Listen to what Christ says. He said, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Now I could take this story of my life, this illustration, and apply it directly to what we're going through today. You know, it's been almost a month since we have shared church together. But instead, I want to ask you this question. Is there anywhere in your life that you are experiencing a drought from God? Is there any aspect of what He wants to give you that is in short supply? Consider the list from Paul of the fruits of the Spirit. Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, and self-control. Are any of those in drought? Think of Peter's list that he gives us in 2 Peter to add to our faith goodness, and to goodness knowledge, and to knowledge self-control, and to self-control perseverance, and to perseverance godliness, and to godliness brotherly kindness, and to brotherly kindness love. Any of those perhaps in drought? James tells us that we should pray for wisdom if any of us lacks it. Is that in drought in your life? Paul gives us at the end of 1 Corinthians chapter 13, now these three remain, faith, hope, and love. Are either of those, any of those, in drought in your life? Jesus gives us the promise, the command to love the Lord our God with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength, and to love our neighbor as ourself. And if we can fulfill those two commands, we fulfill all the law and the prophets. Are either of those in drought in your life? Consider your own life right now and evaluate what is in drought. If you want to pray for our current situation, that it's been a month since we've been able to gather together. Whatever is in drought in your life, I ask you to get to your knees, bow your heads, and pray for rain. And then look to the horizon. Look to the sky. Look above. Because the rain is coming. Hey, I'm Pastor Mark. This is Everything Rhymes with Coffee. Please like, comment, and share. And as always, until tomorrow, the Lord bless you and keep you.